Small group on location cosplay photo shoots. In this case, I'll be talking about composition, posing, and general guidelines when photographing a cosplayer on location. The cosplayer in this case is Turtle Smithy cosplay. He was doing a Bloodborne Hunter, so it's a video game. At the time, I didn't know a lot about this video game, but I had support. There were 3 photographers. Also, I should mention that he has a store page. He makes cosplay props, a lot of cool stuff. Check him out. You probably don't want more than 3 photographers, but 2 or 3. You have someone to work with, work off of, ideas, a lot of good ways to find the best possible locations. You see anything?
Well, Jenny and I were talking about looking at the stairs.
Okay, those ones?
Stairs, there's like a rubble type ordeal.
Alright, so before we go up the stairs, I think that like little wall over there, the stone wall behind that orange car.
There was a lot to consider with photo shoots like this. Some areas might require a permit to do photography. We didn't have any problems in this city. We also went to one other location.
You didn't go far enough.
Oh, that's neat.
I didn't even see this.
There were 3 of us taking photos. It's nice dynamic because you can work off of each other's ideas. A little bit more casual, as long as you work well with the photographers in that case. I really enjoy this style of photography with a photo shoot. If you have any more photographers than that, I think you want to do a mix of multiple cosplayers and photographers. That way you can switch off as needed. That's usually how these type of meetup photo shoots go. The first location in the city has a lot of layers to it. The buildings have these weird elevated walkways and stuff, which worked really nicely. Part of the fun with the location photo shoots is exploring, looking around, trying to find good backdrops, trying to say, okay, this might work out, and asking the cosplayer what ideas they have related to the game and backdrops. There's a lot of fun collaboration involved. Are there bridges in the game?
Yeah, but most of the architecture is very decorative with Gothic stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, for the most part. That's why I was hoping to go in town, because there's like, it's not heavily decorative, but it does look old timey in like a kind of similar light.
Equipment wise, I was using the Nikon Z5 with the Z85mm f1.8s lens. That's the longest lens that I have. I would have preferred 7200, something like that. Obviously, the larger aperture is very nice in some situations too. Settings wise, aperture priority, it's simple, it's easy to use. That way I can focus on composition and face detect autofocus. When that doesn't work as I want, I just tap on the screen where I want to focus. Very simple, easy to use. Z5 with current firmware is a nice general purpose, good camera for people photography in my opinion. A lot of the time we'd have the cosplayer stand in an interesting spot and then find good angles to photograph him from. In situations like this, it's easier to use a long lens, like I said, especially when you're not the current lead photographer, the one taking the photos closer up. In that case, the 85 was somewhat of a disadvantage, but it worked out okay.
All right, I think I'm good here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty sweet. Let's out.
Very nice spot.
I would like this spot in the future.
Yeah, this is good.
This is a bit of a little jam light.
Yeah. It's basically a set. Like a perfect set for photos. Time of the day is a consideration and related to the character being cosplayed, the backdrop. You want to hopefully get the general feel of the photos. Of course, you can do a lot in editing. If we were to have gone later at night, it would have been more challenging, but it also would have been very good for the specific cosplayer. You can mimic some of that look with strong flash photography and such outdoors, but we didn't have any of that. At least it's a consideration if you want to lug around more equipment and deal with lighting. One great thing about having multiple photographers there, or handlers, whatever, is attention to detail. Some people might notice issues with the outfits. You'd have to angle it down.
Still, you could play with the contrast and the shadows, and maybe add a little bit of
You can edit your own
in
light
there. Okay,
Yeah.
what is bothering me is that's not straight in there actually. The lamp, it's like.
Directing a cosplayer, here are some of my guidelines on that. Not necessarily related to this photo shoot. Speak loudly and clearly enough. No one wants to try to interpret mumbling. See the corner of the building? Can you stand and lean against it? So I could potentially get more building. I was thinking right on the edge and then face this direction. Mention direction of shoulders and the face separately when you're trying to pose them. Shoulder back. Yeah. Shoulder back. Nice. Oh, that's good. point and gesture while talking so that they can get a general reference of what you're trying to have them do. I think this is the easiest way to do it. Just stand where they're going to stand, set up your pose, they see it, they mimic it, very easy. Obviously, if you're using a long lens, you're not going to run back and forth all the time, so it's not something you can do all the time.
Yeah. It's really fun.
Do the same thing where you're pushing it back. Oh, nice.
Well, yeah, but
I don't know though. This close to the Mississippi, maybe not. I don't know.
No touching. This is not really an issue here. He doesn't care.
Maybe stand like right where the post is. Or you could like stand slightly behind the post. Oh, no, I mean on this side.
On this side?
Yeah, and put your hand like, there you go.
Even if they're your great friends, don't touch without asking. Sometimes it's hard to get an exact pose. You might have to adjust them or fix something on them that, again, related to the outfit that isn't right. That way you don't have to do as much editing. And if they brought a handler with them, have the handler do it instead if they understand what you're saying. Looking at the camera versus looking away from the camera, I think often, especially when you're trying to create a story with an image or multiple images, having them look away from the camera is very important and can give a different feel to the photo. You can also have them look at the camera. It really depends. Get some variety there. Eye and face position are very important. Get some variety as well with this. Also, if they feel stressed, feel strained, they're not used to doing cosplay photography, they're not used to having their photo taken, they might be stressed and it'll show up in their face. Remind them to relax. Things like that definitely helps, especially with their eyes. If they're really wide-eyed, I think that generally doesn't look great in photos unless it's a crazy cosplay that kind of relates to that. But a lot of the time, just remind them, relax your face, relax their eyes. This doesn't relate to the specific photo shoot, but it does happen quite often. The cosplayer doesn't always have to be facing the camera. Experiment with other poses, go behind them, take photos while they're walking, stuff like that. Variety is great. In this case, you can create a photo story, a photo set with different poses, different positions, have them walking, have them doing some type of action, movement. Really depends on what you want to do, what you want to portray in your photos, and relate it to the original source material, in this case, the game. Yeah, that works out well.
Bloodborne, Tomb Raider.
Yeah. It kind of is. There's a part of the game called the Chalice Dungeons, and you're just going through like these catacombs of like an ancient civilization.
Positioning them, there's a lot of potential variety here. Stand up, sit down, lean, hands on objects around, props, whatever. Mix it up. Just don't have them stand there. No movement, no direction. Definitely give them ideas. Ask the cosplayer if they have specific poses they want to try. It's sometimes difficult to think in the moment, like, oh, they should sit down. And when they do it, it's like, wow, this looks great. Let's keep going. But in the moment, again, sometimes you just don't think about it. Try to remember. Props can add a lot to the photos. In this specific case, the cane and the lamp worked really well for standing and walking style poses, which often is pretty challenging to make work because they're very general purpose, basic types of posing. But with those two things, definitely helped out. Composition. One often overlooked style of cosplay photography or any general type of photography where the outfit matters is details. This specific case, Turtle Smithy, he does amazing work with his cosplays. There's so much detail in them. Focus on that. Take some photos of just the outfit up close. Add those to a photo set. Looks beautiful. Try to remind yourself to consider that and take those fine detail photos. The lens will matter in this case. The 85 for me worked out well. It focuses close enough, but maybe bring an extra lens if you need to get this type of photo.
Turn your face to the left. There you go.
Above, straight down below, your positioning relative to the cosplayer can make a big difference in the feel of the photo. Another consideration when choosing one of these is what is in the background if you want to feature something. In the case when I was above the cosplayer, I wanted to avoid the utility conduits, things like that shouldn't be in the original source material. Still pretty challenging, but it does work out okay. It will give a different feel to the photos when you're photographing the cosplayer from above. When the cosplayer was on the large stairway and shooting from below, they get this bigger than life feel to the character. I think that works really well, especially with this specific cosplay. If you want that feeling, again, try angles from below so that they're more prominent, more large in the images.
Kyle, I'm gonna need you to come closer to the stairs, like
Look. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Red light.
He just starts backing up.
Red light.
Using foreground objects can add a lot of interest to the photos, some uniqueness to them. Foliage, vines, things like that were in this photo shoot really helped out.
Got some nice texture.
Yeah.
Look towards me.
Give me a second. One second. Oh yes, foreground elements. Somewhere Andrew's like, yes, foreground elements.
He senses it. He senses it.
He senses it.
Look that way.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. That's really fucking good. Yeah, that's the vibe.
Yeah, like right between those two vines. There you go. That's good. You can leave it. You can leave it.
He like saw me like, don't rip down the nature.
Yeah.
Or whatever else you can find in the moment to add that extra bit of depth to the overall composition. You can also use those foreground objects to literally frame the subject so the people's eyes go from the sides right to the main subject, which is the cosplayer. Obviously, don't go crazy with this. Get some variety, get some normal photos as well. Experiment with scale and representing scale. The cosplayer doesn't always have to be a huge part of the image. Consider having them a smaller part of the image, but show off the backdrop. If it's something epic, something very well related to the source material, in this case the game, can definitely add some spice to your images overall. Again, if you are trying photo sets, trying to create a story, trying to mimic aspects of the source material, definitely have some variety. We found some really cool locations, abandoned building, these huge long stairways, stuff like that worked really well to not totally focus on the cosplayer, but get some interesting backdrops. General guidelines, or as they say, rule of thirds, stuff like that, golden ratio. It's always helpful to at least keep that in mind when you're taking photos, especially when the backdrop is an important part of the image. You want to try to get that feel of the original source material. I think this is a good way to go about it. Obviously, it's just a guideline. Don't have to use it. You can do variety. So that's pretty much it. A really fun on-location photo shoot, multiple spots in this general area that worked out well for the specific cosplay. Hope you enjoyed a look at on-location cosplay photography. Scott Photography Bonsai, thanks.